Today we learn the concept metaphysical poets. It is John Dryden who first said of John Donne's poetry that he affects the metaphysics. Well, the term metaphysical poets applied to a group of 17th century poets who were influenced by John Donne. The historical context. As I earlier mentioned, it is John Dryden who said of Donne's poetry that he affects the metaphysicals. It means that John Donne employs the terminology and abstract arguments of the medieval scholastic philosophers. In 1779, in his The Life of Cowley, Dr. Samuel Johnson extended the term metaphysical from Donne to a school of poets whom he labeled as a race of writers who neither copied nature nor light, and these poets yoked heterogeneous ideas by violence together. The name is now applied to a group of 17th century poets who, whether or not directly influenced by John Donne, but employed similar poetic procedures and imagery both in secular poetry as well as religious poetry. With the arrival of the new classical period in the late 17th century, most critics and readers regarded the metaphysical poets as interesting but perversely ingenious and obscure exponent of falsehood. That means, in the new classical age, most of the critics and readers are very much interesting regarding the metaphysical poets, but they regarded the metaphysical poets as the exponent of falsehood. After the First World War, John Donne and much less important Herbert and Marvell were elevated high in the hierarchy of English poets. Features. These poets share a common poetical worldview to indicate a common poetic style, and they use the figurative language. John Donne sharply opposed the rich and mellifluousness and idealized view of human nature and of sexual love in Elizabethan and patriarchal poetry. John Donne's poems are opposed to the fluid, regular versification of his contemporaries, that is, Cavalier poets. It means that Donne's poetry are absolutely opposite to the Cavalier poets. John Donne wrote in a diction and meter that is modeled on the rough give and take of actual speech. Poems or Donne's poems are in the form of an urgent or heated argument with a reluctant mistress that we experience in his poetry, where he begins with "Had we but world enough and time." In this poem, he appealed to his mistress that there is less time in their hand, so it is better for them to make love. Major exponents are John Donne, Marvell, Abraham Cowley, Herbert, Henry Vaughan, and Richard crusher. Well, thank you for giving us the time. Okay, keep learning and keep smiling, and don't forget to share and subscribe and invite your friends to join. Thank you again.